Hi everyone, my name is Felix. Once I was given an original gift for my birthday, even too much. I once swore that I would like to have any pet so that it would not be boring, and my girlfriend gave an iguana. It all started like this. I lived with my parents for a long time. I finished university and started working. I had a girlfriend with whom I had a long relationship. My parents had known her for a long time and hinted every 6 months that I should marry her already. Mary is a great girl, and she cooks and sews, and she is smart enough, but I wasn't quite ready. I had my own plans for life, and first I wanted to move away from my parents and live an independent life. So I did. You can't imagine what a thrill it is to live alone. I went home in my underwear, or even naked, slept, ate where I wanted, what I wanted, my own boss. A lot of personal time. A couple of times a week I invited friends to sit down, and on the other days a girl came to see me. Mary cooked for me, cleaned. No, you do not think, I did not force her. She just cannot stand when the house is in chaos, so she came to me to clean up and left. That was fine with me. I would come home from work, eat what she had prepared in advance, and go to bed. I lived like this for about 6 months. Well, then I began to notice that my girlfriend walked some kind of mood drooping. I talked to her, and it turned out that she was seriously hinted at home that she should get married. Of course, for me, when she told me about it, I was in shock. It's not that I don't think about it, it's just that I feel bad. And she suddenly says, "Honey, we can get married later, but in the meantime, just live together. You don't mind if I pass it, do you?" And then she looks at me with this round eyes and extended eyelashes and blinks very fast. Then I remembered everything my friends had told me. Yes, I have a girl in my apartment, so now I have to walk around with the door closed. Bro, I have as much hair on the floor at home as my parents don't have at home from 3 dogs. Pray she doesn't go on a diet or you won't get any meat. You'll eat stinky broccoli and drink smoothies. This is nothing, but if she thinks that you messed up, minus 5,000 rubles from your card for a manicure and pedicure. Late home, minus 9,000 for hair coloring. Did not remember about the anniversary? Ooh, that ring from Tiffany for 25,000 rubles plus a restaurant to show off that new dress and manicure. I think all this horror was drawn on my face at the most crucial moment. Naturally, my girlfriend thought that everything is easy and simple, and why would I move in together? And I saw it as something more. Yes, I was uneasy and even a little scared. In short, you understand, she was offended. I couldn't think of anything more witty to say than that I wanted to practice sharing my space. "I need a pet," I said. At first, Mary did not understand. To be honest, I did not understand what I said. And then I explained to her that I had long wanted to have someone to learn how to take care of them and take responsibility for them, and promised to buy me a dog or cat. To somehow get out of it and complicate the task, I said that I needed something more exotic. I didn't want to have anyone, and I didn't want a dog or cat anymore. I thought she'd think about it and forget, or not look for it. My birthday was coming up. I gathered friends at the cafe and Mary. We had a great time, and Mary says that my gift will arrive tomorrow. I was intrigued. The next morning, the apartment bell rang, and I opened the door all sleepy and slightly hungover. My girlfriend was standing there, holding a huge box. "Surprise," she said, smiling. I was intrigued. I took the gift, put it on the table, and there's an iguana. I even screamed in fear and surprise. Mary laughed and said that everything is as I wanted, both pet and exotic. Damn it, I thought. But I did my best to pretend I was thrilled. I called him Jim, and he lived in a terrarium that took up half the room. I read on the internet what to feed it, how to bathe it. Well, I bathed him with Mary, because it's a long process. In short, it did not bother me in principle. Sometimes I let him walk around the apartment, and then he learned to get out by himself. So one night I felt a sharp pain in my leg, in my sleep. I thought I was being bitten by a dog. I screamed in pain. I opened my eyes and see Jim sitting next to me, staring at me. I was scared. "Jim, your mother. What the fuck?" I kicked him out of the room and went to bed. The next morning, I told Mary about it, and she laughed and said it was just a kiss. But no kidding, the bite site hurt. I went to work, and when I got home in the evening, I found that my finger felt a little swollen. Jim, what are you doing?" I said to the lizard, and I was surprised. He sat next to me on the bed and looked at me with such devoted eyes, as if he was ashamed of what had happened. I was a little confused and went to the bathroom. When I went to the kitchen, Jim was sitting on the windowsill, looking at me again. I went back and forth, and he followed me, and I went to bed, and he was next to me. The next day, I told him not to worry, that everything was fine. "I'm a little mad at you, but now you know you can't do that. I've forgiven you. Don't think that I'm going to punish you. I see that you repent," I said to him, stroked him, and left. I called Mary and told her everything, and she laughed and said that the animals really feel us. And then she stressed that she gave me such a heartfelt gift. A day later, my legs started to hurt even more, and Jim was also following me around. I decided to consult a doctor, took the lizard with me, and went to the doctor. You know what I found out? It turns out that this type of iguana is poisonous. He bit me and put poison in my finger, and then he followed me around and waited for me to die. That's what it turns out. It was both funny and creepy. I immediately called my girlfriend and told her everything. She was terribly ashamed. "I'm not a husband yet, but I've already decided to get rid of it," I told her jokingly. In general, we took it to the pet store. I still wanted to live. Only then Mary promised to buy me a dog, and I couldn't stand it and confessed everything. Ask about her reaction? I'm shopping with her right now, buying a new dress, a Tiffany ring, and I'm taking her to a restaurant tonight. I've been afraid of cats most of my life. Hi, my name is Will. Tell me, do you have any phobia? I mean, a fear of something. I've heard that there are many different types of phobias, such as claustrophobia, fear of confined space, arachnophobia, fear of spiders. These types of fears are probably justified, and many people are afraid of spiders, beetles, snakes, or small cramped rooms. But there are other types of fears, such as phagophobia, the fear of swallowing. Yes, I would go crazy if I could not eat my favorite steak. Or ablutophobia, the fear of washing, although here I would say that this phobia seems to have everyone who goes in minibuses, especially in the summer. Trichophobia, fear of hair. Probably guys with this fear can hardly find themselves girls. Chromatophobia, fear of money. I certainly do not have such a phobia and will not. They are at first glance comical, though funny to others, but not to those who have it. For example, I'm afraid of cats, but I try not to talk about it. This is called ailurophobia. Yes, I'm afraid of these, as many believe, cute furry creatures. Personally, I don't think so. These quadrupeds are not what they say they are. Have you ever wondered why they can suddenly jump up a couple of meters in height, as if they were electrocuted? Why don't they like water? Why do they humiliate their owners? Why are they addicted to drugs? And in general, how did they get this dependence on valerian? After all, this drug was not for some time. It appeared later than cats on Earth. Just imagine, one cat once very long ago sniffed a pill or a drop of valerian and rushed. The pupils dilated, the hair swam, the breath became faster, and the cat is like, "This is a buzz," and everything since then sits on the needle. Then, as the times to him in visitors went neighbor, and they shared product. Furthermore, and all cats have become dependent and passed its secret from generation to generation. So I digress. My dislike of hypocritical creatures was born from childhood. My mother loved cats. In her opinion, cats are loved by strong and independent individuals, while dogs are loved by weak ones. Probably the number of cats in our house was commensurate with her feminist ego, because in our 3-room apartment lived about 8 fuzzies. I say approximately because every month one of the cats left, my mother brought home another with grief. These creatures were a comfort to her after her divorce from father. Of course, she didn't admit that she was ill, but I could see it in her behavior. It all started with the fact that my mother brought a cute kitten to our house and left it to live. Since I was already suffocating from her overprotection, she shifted the focus of her attention to the animal. Tony, that was his name, and he didn't mind. Since then, the house has become a mess. Not only did our house become a shelter, but I couldn't bear to live there. I open the refrigerator, it's full of kitties, but there's no milk or eggs for me. My toothbrush has become their favorite hairbrush. My bed is their toilet. My laptop is their favorite lounge area, and I'm a slave. A month later, I already hated these creatures and once tried to get rid of them. Brought a dog to the house. I locked the neighbor's dog in the room with him and opened the window for them to run out. After 5 minutes of noise, I looked into the room. Everything was turned upside down. All the cats remained in place, and the dog ran away. That night, in my sleep, I found it difficult to breathe, as if I were being strangled. I woke up from lack of oxygen and saw 3 huge cats lying on my chest and neck. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. I was so afraid they would kill me. I jumped out of bed and ran into the other room, where the other cats were sitting and looking at me with contempt. That's when my phobia started. I moved to live with my grandmother. She had no one else at home except the fish. Since then, I have avoided these lumps of evil. At the time, I didn't think that this phobia would remind me of itself and set me up properly. My girlfriend Drew didn't know about the phobia and one night invited me to have dinner with her and her parents at her house. I gladly agreed, dressed up, brought flowers with a cake, and came. Her mother met me at the door. She immediately noticed how wonderful I looked, and I returned the compliment. Her father was sitting at the table, reading a newspaper. At the sight of me, he immediately put it down, and we entered into an interesting dialogue from the first minutes. Drew and her mother set the table, and we ate chicken, drank delicious tea, and chatted. Everything was fine, and then suddenly I felt this familiar tickling sensation. Someone's soft fur touched my leg under the table. When I lowered my head, I saw a small black imp, its eyes looking straight into my soul. He brazenly rubbed his stinking tail against my leg and mewed. At this point, Drew's father asked me what my parents did, but there was a lump of fear in my throat. I immediately remembered my home and how my mother's cats tried to strangle me in my sleep. A loud, uncontrollable cry of horror came out of my mouth, directly at my girlfriend's father. Half-chewed pieces of chicken flew into his face. He sat open-mouthed, as did everyone else. There was an awkward silence, and I felt like I was sitting for an eternity. Then I jumped up, as if scalded, and ran out into the street. The Drew family must have sat in a daze for a long time. She hasn't spoken to me since. All I remember from that night is the look on her dad's face. They probably think I'm a weirdo. I screwed up, but I couldn't find the courage to tell the whole truth. I was ashamed of this phobia. In the end, I got so tired of it that I decided to deal with my demons. The first thing I did was take a deep breath and go home to my mom. I should be able to face my fears in the literal sense of the word. I went to my mother's house and had told her everything that had heard over the years. My mother immediately began to defend her children. She still hasn't forgiven me for the dog that I set on them. I took a deep breath and explained why. She was very surprised. "Why didn't you mention this before? I thought you just hated my cats." "If I knew, I'm sorry, son," my mother said, hugging me. Then we decided to figure out how to overcome my fear. From that day on, every day I came to visit my mother, and we together fed her children, bathed, played. Over time, the fear dissipated. Then I went back to see Drew, apologized for my behavior, and told him the truth. At first, she didn't believe me until I showed her our family cat photo. She forgave me and invited me to eat chicken again.